Hello again, my name's Liz Lister, Scottish tour guide, and with me I have my mum, Betty Martin. Now a couple of weeks ago we did a recipe for clootie dumpling and a lot of you enjoyed that, so we're back again today, and today what we're making is another Scottish treat. It's vanilla tablet. So we're going to be making tablets. Now if you've been to Scotland you'll know that the Scots have got a very sweet tooth. So tablet is basically sugar, butter and milk, and basically it's like a lump of sugar. In fact, everybody has their own recipe, and sometimes when you go into a restaurant, usually it's served with coffee at the end if you're having it in a restaurant, and sometimes people could be forgiven for mistaking the piece of tablet on their saucer for a lump of brown sugar. But in our case, we like the milky form of the tablet. Everybody has their own recipe. This has been adapted down the years, and so today we're going to make our version. So take it away, Mum. What is going into our recipe today?
We have butter, sugar, condensed milk and milk. And we're going to boil all these together and boil it, and then after that we're going to beat it. Now, when I was a little girl, we had to beat it with a wooden spoon. But now I believe you can do it with an electric mixer. But I have to admit, today is going to be my first attempt with an electric mixer.
Well, there's the first time for everything, and as you can see from this recipe book, which was my gran's, this has been around for quite some time. Just look at that writing. Isn't that writing absolutely beautiful? She had a lovely copper plate writing. So the ingredients there, and we're going to get them all together and start melting them in the pan. Okay, so we're off and running. Take us away, Mum.
Right. First of all, we're going to melt the butter. Then the next thing to go in is the milk. Now, during the war, when we couldn't get sweets, what we used to do was, when your mum was finished making the tablet, you got the tin, and oh, you could scrape out that, and that to us was great, absolutely great. Now we'll have to wait until the butter melts and the milk heats up, and then we will add our sugar. Now you really need to have a heavy based pan for this because it could stick. You don't want to burn it. Just the butter melts a bit, and then we'll put in the milk. Bring it to the boil. Butter's not melted yet, so we don't put the sugar in. Now this is not for the slimmers. Definitely not.
It's not for those that want to keep their teeth either.
No. We've got to wait up. It's the pleasure worth it. And I'm afraid in our case we say yes.
And at this moment in time, we still can't get back to the dentists other than for emergency treatment. The dentists are still not allowed to carry out aerosol operations, so you don't want to be getting toothache at this time, although they can do emergency extractions. But those of you eagle-eyed amongst you might have noticed that Mum's looking a bit different this week because you've had a haircut.
Hooray! After 5 months. What a lovely feeling it was. It was a bit daunting because of all the virus and it took a wee bit of courage to go, but oh boy, I enjoyed it. I had about 12 weeks of self-isolation and it wasn't easy, but I'm very fortunate to have a lovely big garden. I could go out and walk round about the garden and get my fresh air and my exercise. And lots of people that lived in flats and everything didn't have that.
And how did you do for all your groceries?
Well, my daughter, who's filming, was very, very good. She did all my shopping for me.
But you found that the neighbours were fantastic.
Oh, neighbours were fantastic. I didn't really know them very well before. My immediate neighbours hadn't been in very long, but the first week of lockdown, there was a knock at the door one morning, and when I went, there was a bag of groceries on my doorstep. All the essentials that I could have wanted. And ever since, she has been so good. When she's been going to the shop, she's always said, Betty, do you need anything? And she would get it if Elizabeth wasn't here to do the weekly shop. I tried one week, I tried an online shopping, but I found that everything was due to be used. Its sell-by date was probably the next day. So that didn't work out very well. I didn't try it again.
And you had lots of friends that came to visit.
Oh yes, people came to visit. Of course they had to stay out in the garden and I had to open the window and we had to speak through the window, which was excellent because you did feel as though you were still in touch with your friends. But by the end of the 12 or whatever weeks it was, all I wanted was to touch somebody, just even a hand, because you just didn't have that contact at all.
And what about all your hospital appointments?
Oh well, they were all cancelled. They were cancelled because they wouldn't allow people into the hospitals. But now things were starting to ease off again, and I do have an appointment tomorrow at the hospital. But then again, in this last 2 or 3 days, it's all spiking again, and I think everything's going to go in lockdown again very shortly. Now that, when it comes to the boil, that has to boil for 20 minutes. Right, well, we've been boiling for about 20 minutes. Obviously I've not been standing here the whole time. It only needs an occasional stir just to keep it on the move. And now I'm going to take it from the heat. I'm going to take it over here and we're going to try for the first time with the beater. I've never had that, never tried it, but I will try it. But I think before I do it, I'll put on my glasses, just in case it had to splash up.
Why does it get called vanilla tablet?
Well, some people put a couple of drops of vanilla essence in it, just to flavour it, just to make it, to take away the sugary feeling or taste. Well, here goes for the first time.
vanilla. What else could you put in tablet?
Well, you can make coconut tablet. Put coconut into it.
Rum and raisin. Rum and raisin.
Oh, all the different
Cherry.
Whiskey.
Iron brew.
Well, I don't think I fancy iron.
People won't know what iron brew is. What is iron brew?
Iron brew is Scotland's national drink. So they say.
Yeah, we're the only country that has a soft drink that outsells Coca-Cola. If you want to find out what iron brew is, you'll need to come and visit. That's for another day.
Now see the whisk marks here? That means that it's ready now. When it's ready, you put it on onto a Swiss roll tray. Now, who's to get these? We'll leave them to cool and then we'll decide. You get the Swiss roll tin, which you grease with your butter paper. Pour it into the tray.
Are you okay? Do you want me to do that bit? You all right? And how long will this take to set?
Oh, quite a wee while, because it is very hot, and of course the sugar retains the heat.
Do you want me to scrape it out for you? Yeah.
Now, I'm always very good at clearing out my pot, but on this occasion you don't clear it out too much, because you can have the pot to scrape. All that's left in the pot can be eaten after. And that is Scottish tablet.
And so after a little while, you would mark it into squares?
Yes, you need to leave that to cool for a while. And then, just before it sets, you would mark it in your squares, whether you wanted small squares or in Scotland we have sales of work and things.
So what is a sale of work?
It's where you make things and sell them and to raise money for charity, different things. And if you're doing that, then you would cut them that size and then you wrap them in greaseproof paper and you sell them. And it's always one of the first things to go at a sale of work.
Yeah. And nowadays people put them into little pouches and give them as presents at Christmas time or birthdays.
Yes, you can use them for gifts. You can buy boxes and fill boxes at Christmas time and put it in.
So how would you say that tablet is different from fudge?
Oh, fudge is chewy. Tablet is really just pure sugar.
Well, once it cools, we'll get a look at it when we see the finished article.
Well, about an hour and a half later, here we are. It's not quite set yet, it's still a bit warm in the bottom, But I've tried to cut it up to let you see what like it would be in your squares. And this bit, which I've separated just when I was doing it, obviously it is hard. It has. And that's how easy it would be to cut it. Lovely. Enjoy.